Hi again, I'm Amy, the Quality Manager from Acme Manufacturing. Let's talk about why FCI and CUI data is such a big deal. What are the risks and why? Also, let's discuss the challenges in DFARS 7012 and CMMC certification. It's important everyone understand why federal contract information, FCI, and controlled unclassified information, CUI, are targeted by cyber attackers. When you build a fighter aircraft, you can be sure there are thousands and thousands of defense contractors and subcontractors supporting every major weapons system all over the country, and sometimes all over the world. The amount of contract information and technical information they need to share to get this done is pretty incredible. The definitions of the most common types of controlled information for the U.S. government and DoD is really important. So, let's take a second to refresh our memory. Federal contract information, FCI, means information not intended for public release that is provided by or generated by the government under a contract to develop or deliver a product or service to the government, but not including information provided by the government to the public, such as on public websites, or simple transactional information such as necessary to process payments. Controlled unclassified information, CUI, is information that requires safeguarding or dissemination controls pursuant to and consistent with applicable law, regulations, and government-wide policies. An important category of CUI is controlled technical information. The term means technical information with military or space application that is subject to controls on the access, use, reproduction, modification, performance, display, release, disclosure, or dissemination. So here we go again. What do they mean by technical information? Technical information means technical data or computer software, as those terms are defined in Defense Federal Acquisition Regulation Supplement Clause 252.227-7013. Some examples of technical information include research and engineering data, engineering drawings, and associated lists, specifications, standards, process sheets, manuals, technical reports, technical orders, catalog item identifications, data sets, studies and analyses and related information, and computer software executable code and source code. Export-controlled information is a category of CUI concerning certain items, commodities, technology, software, or other information whose export could reasonably be expected to adversely affect the United States national security and non-proliferation objectives. To include dual-use items, items identified in Export Administration Regulations, International Traffic in Arms Regulations, and the munitions lists, license applications, and sensitive nuclear technology information. It's really important that if you handle these types of information, you know what you're doing and understand the requirements. Our country's safety and security depends on it. Securing this data on our laptops, devices, and in our networks these days is hard. Criminals in foreign countries attack the U.S. defense supply chain every day to try and steal CUI. Attackers seek technical information that gives our country a warfighting advantage. Some estimate the value of this stolen data in the range of $600 billion. Wow. So the U.S. government wanted to improve security and control over these categories and types of information. The U.S. government implemented FAR 52.204-21 and DFARS 252.204-7012 to improve basic safeguarding standards for all non-federal contractors' information systems. The goal was to protect the confidentiality of FCI and CUI and safeguard the IT systems and facilities that contain the data. Most companies impacted by DFARS need to significantly increase their level of security, control the flow of FCI and CUI data across their company, and to be ready to respond to network and data security incidents. If a security incident takes place under DFARS 7012, the incident has to be reported within 72 hours from discovery. Ugh. Almost every IT guy on the planet will tell you that's not much time at all. The U.S. Defense Industrial Base is huge. Try to imagine not just one weapon system like the jet fighter example, but tens of thousands of contracts, programs, and products. The requirements for safeguarding and handling FCI or CUI data follow the data wherever it needs to go to meet the contract requirements. This is very complicated stuff. DoD began to realize self-certification wasn't really working, and they suspected high rates of non-compliance. These barriers to DFARS compliance are real and really difficult for most companies. First, understanding the technical references like NIST 800-171, which provides details on security requirements, can be brutal, even for IT people. IT is super complicated anyway, and not every company has IT people with the right experience. Figuring out CUI can be really tough too. How are we supposed to navigate through marked CUI, unmarked CUI, distribution restricted, controlled technical information, and export controlled information? It can be overwhelming. Worse, who can I ask that's going to give me the right answers? There aren't very many qualified and experienced people who are experts on the DFARS 7012 and CUI requirements. Even if I could get my boss to approve the budget for an outside consultant, do I trust the future growth of our company from a search on Google? Even worse, what if we spent our budget doing the wrong things or buying technology we don't need? Yikes. With all the uncertainty, people usually didn't do very much at all beyond the basics. So during the 3 years defense companies and their subcontractors struggled to implement the DFARS 7012 requirements, our adversaries were able to steal more and more data. Now, don't despair. DoD has taken 2 critical paths. They really stepped up enforcement of DFARS requirements to increase the pressure of compliance with DFARS 7012. And they decided to develop a Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certification, or CMMC, model which relies on an independent accreditation body to help the organizations better understand how to implement the new CMMC requirements, and certify independent assessors to verify and validate defense companies' compliance. Implementation for most companies will still be challenging, but the CMMC AB will aid companies with critical knowledge, expertise, and an array of qualified and certified resources to help. Now that you have a much better understanding of the risks, challenges, and path ahead, you are ready to move forward. It's time to get your company CMMC ready. Congratulations, and keep going. Let's get you back to work. With CMMCsmart, help is on the way.